talk. Let's go. All right, let's go. So did Craig Butler remove his players from the under-17 camp? When the first list of players was released, we saw about 6 or 7 Phoenix players, man. We saw Dylan John, Carlton Brown, Dante Peralta. We saw Denzel McKenzie. We saw a couple other players, Jamani Bell. Yeah. Some real good players that we expect to be in the final squad. Straight up. Because these are some of the best players under 17 in the country. But subsequently, we saw a couple of these players removed. At least one of them that we expected to be there all the way. And so we didn't see Dante Peralta, and we didn't see Denzel McKenzie. Did any other players get removed from the squad?
No, the Phoenix players, it was Dante and Denzel. Carlton Brown, Jamani Bell, and Dylan John still remained in the squad.
All right. Let's speak about the players individually first before we even talk about them getting removed. Dante Peralta, how do you feel about this player and him even making it to the under-17 squad?
All right, so Dante Peralta would have been somebody that I would have had my eyes on from the last season in the Manning Cup, where Mona came out and were This or That Sports TV's surprising team. In a shortened season, Mona really took it by storm, the additions of Alexander Bicknell and Dante Peralta, who would have came from different schools to make an impact on this program. Dip was, as he's affectionately called, was only 15 years old, and he was a standout in the Manning Cup. He was one of, if not the leader of that Mona High School football team. An outstanding defender. We saw him play a lot in a central defensive role or as a wing back, and he really stood out, especially as a young player, and he was somebody to look forward to. This season, though, I think he kind of plateaued. Some might even say regressed from what we saw from him last season. 1 year older, you're expecting him to be more mature, you're expecting him to be technically better, you're expecting to see a marked improvement, and that was not necessarily the case. I think he was played out of position for the most part, and that probably affected his performance. He was still recruited to the general 50-man squad, I think it was, or 50-man tryout for the under-17s. However, I'm not sure, based on his season, he would have ultimately made the final cut, to be totally honest.
Yeah, his inclusion in the first list of players, it wasn't a surprise, because remember, he was one of the players that were invited to the under-20 tryouts. He was one of the Phoenix players that were at that game, and we saw he did well, but he didn't make the final squad.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on his performance this season. I feel like him being played out of position certainly didn't help him. I know that Phoenix, their methodology is kind of different, and Craig Butler will tell you that he was doing that to help him develop some other part of his game. But I feel like playing him as a defender, which ultimately he is, and I think that's where, if he's supposed to make it as a pro, I think he will come as a defender, not as a forward. So maybe
I think it's a central defender too.
Yeah, so central defender, I've seen him at left back, and he wasn't awful last season.
Yeah.
So I think the kid could make it there, but this season, Manning Cup, man, I've seen bad games. I've seen woeful performances from Denzel McKenzie. I've seen Dante Peralta. I've seen performances from Mona where he's the worst player on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So this season it wasn't great, but I'm not going to read too much into it because he was being played as a forward and he's not a forward. But as a defender, I can say he should. If we're going to call a 50-man squad, I think Dante Peralta should be in that squad because he's one of the best players under 17 in the country at the moment. He should be, based on what we saw last season and at times this season. So I'm not perturbed by him being a part of the 50-man squad. Let's speak about the other player though, Denzel McKenzie, who we like at This or That Sports TV, who was a nominee for a Rising Star Award. How do you feel about this player and his inclusion in the original squad?
To note, Denzel McKenzie only recently became 16 after Mona were eliminated from the Manning Cup. He did complete his schoolboy season playing at under 16 level, to show how actually young he was while playing in the Manning Cup. And he stood out all the way. I think, besides Zane Pinnock, probably Mona High School's most impactful player, and some might argue, without a doubt, well, probably Dan Hugh Mitchell, but some might argue that Denzel McKenzie was Mona High School's best player. So his inclusion into the preliminary squad, the tryouts, was not a surprise to me. He's versatile. He's very skilled. Apparently, he was being played out of position in the camp, but I think because of his versatility, that allows other players who aren't as versatile as him to tuck in the midfield while he plays out wide. And I think that type of versatility, that type of talent, that dynamic nature would improve the Reggae Boys squad, and I think he would fit perfectly into that squad. I would have loved to see Denzel Washington McKenzie represent Jamaica. So I was a bit taken aback when I saw the final training squad. This is the penultimate squad before the 20-man squad is called up. I was taken aback that I did not see him being included in this.
Yeah, Denzel Washington McKenzie, I like this player, man. This position that he plays as an attacking midfielder, that's my favorite position on the pitch. I like players that can play this position and slows down the game, and he's one of those players. His technique is superb. The kid just at 15 years old, we saw him for most of the year at 15 years old and dominating in most matches that he played in.
Yeah,
I mean, that game, Mona's worst game this season, I think, was against CC, right?
Yeah.
They look, a shadow of themselves, and he was probably their best player in that game. There we go. He was their best player in that game. So I really like this player. I like what he offers, and he's definitely one of those players that plays above his age group. He's 16 years old and he plays as if he's 19 at the moment. He knows how to run a game. He knows how to control a game. And I would make a bet that even if he was supposed to play as a left midfielder or right midfielder, he would make the squad. I honestly believe so. He told us that earlier in his footballing career, he was playing at left back or centre back, something like that. He was a defender, so we can tell that he's a versatile player. Was really looking forward to seeing this player, but we're going to get into why exactly we're not seeing these players, because these are two of the players that people expect to see. But then we check the 37-man training squad, and they're not on it. No, there are some whispers, there are some rumors that Craig Butler removed one of them because one got drafted. Some stuff that we're not sure about. So we did our research, we did our digging, because we really wanted to know. Before we even do this show, we wanted to know what was the real reason. And we did our research, and it came to know that these players were removed. Yes, matter of fact, they weren't removed. They removed themselves, from the training camp, because they wanted to be a part of the Phoenix tour of Europe. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Every year, this is no secret. Every year, Phoenix does a tour of Europe. England, Belgium, Spain. They go to Europe and they play several teams, and then they come back to Jamaica. Now, for this one, it is going to clash with the under-17 tournament. They're supposed to leave at the end of January, I'm hearing. So these players got the option: stay and play under 17, or come to Europe and play against the Aston Villas, play against Man Cities, play against Genk, play against Benfica, play against those teams. Some of the players from Phoenix chose to represent Jamaica, and I have no problems with that. And some of the players chose to, go and spread their wings and get their names, in that talking pool in terms of professional footballers out of Jamaica. That I don't have a problem with either, but we're going to break it down. How do you feel about these players removing themselves from the training camp and opting to go to Europe instead of representing Jamaica?
I'm obviously not as forgiving as you are. You said you don't have a problem with it. Mr. Butler, have been on a tirade for the past decade or so that his players, and rightfully so, should be included in the national setup. That's something that he's been on. That's something that he said a lot for a very, very long time. And I think this is the first time that we've seen mass inclusion of players who represent Phoenix, players who are under Craig Butler. And this is what he's been fighting for this opportunity to have the boys wear the color shirt that he says he loves so much, and that his boys love so much, and all his boys aspire to do is to play for the nation. Upon finally receiving that opportunity, finally receiving that call up, now is the time when you allow them to remove themselves. I'm not for it any at all. And there will be other tours, and they could have probably caught the tour on the back end. The competition is only 2 weeks long. You have to play for your country. That's the whole point. There will never be another under 17 competition for any of those boys ever again. And this might be Dante Peralta's last chance to represent his nation. Who knows based on how he grows. Craig might say yes, if he goes and he's successful, he gets a contract, he'll be better for it and ultimately represent the nation better for it at higher levels. And I agree with that. However, playing for your country is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I don't see how you say no to that for unsanctioned and unofficial friendly matches.
I hear you. I understand it. I slightly disagree. The under 15s, I understand if we're saying this about even under 20 or the senior team. When you get called, you go.
Under 17.
Because under 17, yeah, I understand.
It was
No, I
under
understand. But these players, you have to think about their end goal. Their end goal is to make it as professional footballers. And what this will do, most of these players are 16, next year they will be 17. They need to get their names out there. And what they're thinking about, I'm just putting myself in the player's shoes. Yes, I probably would have opted to play for Jamaica.
Probably.
Yeah, I think I would have played for Jamaica, but I'm just trying to think, put myself in these players' shoes and think how they're thinking. The end goal is to get a professional contract. You have an agent who has invested a lot in you. You want to repay him. You want to go and play. You want to play against some of the best youngsters in Europe. You want to get a name out there, and this is a very good opportunity to do so. Now, if you back yourself, you know that you will get more call-ups for Jamaica. So if that's what they're thinking, I have no problem with it. Go there, go and make a name, go and go and perform against these teams, and then who knows, in a couple of years, one of these teams, they'll get you in their program. Now, as far as Jamaica go, I think our team is good enough. I don't think it will hurt us. Now, having Denzel McKenzie and Dante Peralta will definitely be a good addition. But them being removed from the squad, I don't think will hurt us to a great degree.
If they're good enough to make the squad, removing them from the squad will hurt us.
I don't think it will hurt us to a great degree. We think about other players that we have, the Jamani Bells and Dylan John in similar position. We think about defenders that we have. I think that we will be fine. And these players making decisions, not going to beat them as bad as you are. Obviously, I'd want to see them play for Jamaica. And I do agree with you. When a country call, it's hard, man. I think you just take the opportunity and go and play for your country. But when a trip is booked and friendlies are already planned and the clubs give you a certain time to come, and you want to be a part of that, you can't just look at the agent and say, can we reshuffle this? Can we make it another time? Can we come for the last two when they're already in swing? So it's hard. So some players opted to play. Some players opted to, go and tour Europe, which either way, I have no problem with it. Go make a name. I hope it works out for them. But obviously, I'd love to see them in that black, green, and gold. And I won't get to see that this time, but who knows? Hopefully, they progress and they'll get an under 20 call up or even national call up. These players are good players. For the players that stayed, though, Carlton Brown, Dylan John, and Jamani Bell, I would assume that you like that decision and somehow, maybe they get a few more points and your scoreboard.
It's not a matter of whether I like or hate the decision. In my opinion, it's the only decision to be made. Many people dream of being called up for their nation to play at an under 20 level. You're playing official games sanctioned by FIFA. I would never give that up to play some unofficial friendlies. As big as the opportunity might be, and I understand, especially for Craig Butler, I have no issue with him and what he's doing because he's doing his job. And if I was a player agent and my job is to get players to play professional football, and the national team was inhibiting that, then I would do my job, right? However, as a player or as a fan, I don't like the idea of voluntarily abdicating call-ups. I've always hated it on any level. When Cephas said that he didn't want a call-up because he's settling in, madness. When players are like, I can't come to the Gold Cup because of family, because of a short pre-season and so on and so forth, I can't come to the Gold Cup. Not only you have Mikel Antonio and other players who stated that excuse for the last Gold Cup. Absurd. stuff like that rubs me the wrong way because playing for your country is so important. And when you get that call up, I just don't see how you reject it. I just don't see how you turn it down for any particular reason. Denzel Washington McKenzie is one of my favorite players, and I do believe that he is one of the best attacking midfielders in the country under 19, not to mention under 17. And I do believe that he would have been an instrumental role in this team. So you said that the loss of those two players won't hurt us. My philosophy is that if you get 20 people, and this is one or two of 20 people that would have traveled and represented your country, any one of those 20 people that you don't get to have and you have to replace them with somebody that's not as good, that is going to hurt the team. No,
Yeah, to what degree and how far is the drop off to 21 and 22?
even if that is the 20th person on the squad, when you're playing rotation games and squad games, it will affect the quality of training, it will affect the quality of football, and it will impact the quality. That's why when a team wins, it's not only 11 people who get a trophy or 15 people who get a medal or 18 people who get a medal, it's all 20 or 22 or 26. So you want to go with your strongest possible team in every possible position. You know what? I don't like the voluntary remission. It really rubs me the wrong way, especially for Denzel Washington McKenzie, who's a player that I really, really rate highly, and I would love to see him string through passes and really take up this under 20 competition. I think this would have been a breakout for him because I really do believe that he is indeed underrated in the realm of Jamaican football, and I think this would have been the competition where he would have stamped his authority and be seen as one of the best young players in CONCACAF. And unfortunately, we won't get a chance to see that. So it's very disappointing.
Yeah, it is. I'd love to see these players in the colours. In terms of the outcome, that's what I meant when I said that it won't hurt us. I don't think it. Obviously, to some degree, if these players are, if they are not, I can tell you, Denzel Washington McKenzie is not the 20th player.
Yeah.
If he would have made the squad, he's not 20. So definitely it would hurt us, but to what degree and would it change the outcome? I am not so sure. And that's what I mean. But
there's no possible way. Denzel Washington McKenzie possesses abilities that many of these players don't have, but Dylan John and Jamani Bell don't have. So it might be a case where we needed a 40-yard cracker to win us our quarterfinal game. And either Bell or Dylan John has that ability to do that. And we've seen Denzel Washington McKenzie possess said ability. So just these little things on the field that we're not going to have, just that dynamic element to our game, just another facet of scoring, another facet of chance creation, another facet of hard work and determination hustling in the midfield. We're definitely going to be lacking that, and we will never know if it will affect the outcome. We will never know.
Yeah, even with this information, I'm still saying that we will make it to the World Cup. Top 4, semi-finals, let's go. I feel like that is still on the cards. I feel like these players, yes, it would have given us an extra boost, but still have the result the same. Yes, people, let us know your thoughts, your comments. Leave them in the comment section. How do you feel about this topic? These players opting to go to Europe, to obviously make steps towards achieving a pro contract, over playing at the under 17 championships.
And what does it do to Craig Butler's credibility? The fact that he's been fighting tooth and nail for these players to be included into the Jamaica setup, and when finally given the opportunity, removing them, or
that's the thing. That's the key thing, though. If he did remove them, which he said that he didn't remove them, then you would have a valid point. But the fact that 3 of them stayed, more stayed than opted not to go. So Carlton Brown, Jamani Bell, and Dylan John, who I'm sure would have done well on this tour because they are top players, really good players, some of the best Phoenix players, they opted not to go. So I don't think this will affect Craig Butler's credibility in any way. The fact that they were called up, I feel like that, put an extra point on the JFF's board, because they are showing that I don't care where you play, I just want the best. And if they're willing to call up so many of Phoenix players, then hey, I don't think Craig Butler will have a strong point after this. Especially in the under 20 competition, we didn't see Whisper, and he said his father said on Ryan's show yesterday that he was fit and he just didn't get caught. But and a lot of people said that hey, they did bury the hatchet. No, in this under 17 competition though. So a lot of Phoenix players clearly There are no problems. No, next call up, in terms of the senior call up, there are not a lot of senior Phoenix players that we expect to make it. But who knows? Maybe we get a call up in a friendly, who knows? And then we can get more insight into what the JFF is thinking and if they are willing to, put all their problems with Craig Butler aside. But as far as these players opting not to go, I don't feel like that will affect him and how people view him in terms of, calling for the JFF to include these players over all these years. They've included them. They've done their part. Your players just opted not to go. And maybe the players will have some questions to answer.
Can't wait to get a chance to ask them these questions.
There we go. People in the comment section, again, let us know. How do you feel about this? If you got the chance to go to Europe and play against some of the biggest clubs in the world at that level, would you go or would you play? Would you stay and represent Jamaica? Would you try to make it to the Under-17 World Cup? Or maybe is that something, the players that play in the championship, players that didn't play in the championship can still play in the World Cup, right?
Of course.
Exactly. So these players probably back themselves. I know the squad will make it. We're there at the World Cup.
No way, no how, not a chance. If this squad qualifies or when this squad qualifies for the World Cup, as much as I love Denzel McKenzie, there's no way he goes to the World Cup in December.
No man, he can't go, man. No God, man, bro.
No way.
You wanna try to get him contract?
No way.
Try to get him contract. Is 2 years removed from signing a pro contract.
There will be other players from England, from America who will suddenly be Jamaican right before the World Cup, and I'd rather take one of those.
Damn, that's a hard position to take.
People know how highly I rate Denzel McKenzie. He's a player that basically I saw and I just gravitated to because of how skilled he is, because of his attitude. He has that star thing about him. Like Denzel McKenzie is a star in the making. He has this bravado about him, but he's not too arrogant, but he's very confident, and his football speaks volumes. He's so versatile and diverse, and he's very strong, and him just look like a baller. People don't know how much we rate Ted. Everybody know that. But you pick a side. That's just for the under-17. Don't get me wrong. Under-20s are coming up, senior team are coming up. Denzel McKenzie will represent Jamaica. He will wear a Jamaica shirt one day. It just won't be in 2023.
I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him at the World Cup. People, obviously, and this is one a few times.
After him leave them hanging, you'd call him back?
The reason, I understand the reason, man.
Leave them hanging to go play some unofficial friendlies.
To get it, bro, the man try to get a contract. The man try to make sure it's his name in the hat. That's what he's trying to do.
Qualify your team for the World Cup and go to the World Cup and stand out. We've seen players stand out in under-17 World Cup and make names for themselves. What are you talking about?
But guess what? He's going to be seen in the places where he wants to go. That's what I'm saying. He's literally going to be at Aston Villa. It's literally going to be at Man City. It's literally going to be seen by people and have conversations and meeting them.
If you don't qualify this team to the World Cup, there's no way you get a call up.
Man, well, I think you're going to say, because what if this team doesn't do it? What if this team doesn't make it to the World Cup? And he didn't stand out. That is not to say that he wouldn't have made it as a professional. So his decision probably work out, bro. I'm just saying that I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I understand. Again, I understand. It's not even that I think that what you're saying is madness, because I get it. I understand the love for the country. I get it. But yeah, top players, people, tell us, what do you think about this topic? A really good discussion. We're still here having our studio talk. Next topic up soon, and the man that's on the tip of everybody's tongue, Whisper, the name that they can't leave. Let's talk about it soon, bro. Studio talk. We'll be right back.